Right. So next up, we've got Clear Cut. Clear Cut is really dependent on how you deny high ground and how your soldiers work their bombs. General mid standard setup that we ran on 9. If Roamer rolls out here, just bans rockets to see if he can deny stuff, and usually waits around here. Pocket usually rolls out with the combo, just with the high ground and starts spamming stuff. Demo, rollout's pretty much standard, but what really matters more about how you roll out is, other than rolling out, is how you play the mid. The mid really has two ways of working it. You either double bomb and fully collapse, which is why I used to position him right here, because when we double bomb, I want to double bomb. Your runner wants to double bomb here, land towards me with the shed and start spamming shit. And I mean, your pocket can do the same thing from here, where he bombs him here and then lands right here. Like one of your soldiers can choose to bomb here, and the other one can either commit, or if your roamer is, since your roamer's here, you just land here, deny the people off high ground and start spamming shit. The other good way to play the mid, from what I've seen from other teams, is play the spam game and try to isolate the people in high ground and just focus fire the shit out of them. So usually that meaning the roamer usually waits around here, shoots some spam here, and then once you get a good damage call on the people in high ground, the roamer and the flank scout jumps here and just price the shit out of the people. And hopefully they get a pick or two without losing too many players, and they work the mid from there. Those are the two good ways to play the mid. In the meanwhile, your demo and scouts definitely need to make sure they will walk across point. Your flank scouts should generally try to stay, if they're not fighting high ground here, they definitely need to at least be ready to deny people from right. Because in both mids, when you're walking across, usually left and mid and left lane are going to be the ones checked, but right lane leaves a lot to be desired, because this is pretty much open and nobody's going to be focusing on this area unless there's a caught out player, which means a roamer can counter bomb you guys and maybe land on your medic counter jump if they're hiding here at the very minimum. Or they can just hide here and just collapse on you guys. Whichever one they choose to do. So that's why when you do either a double bomb mid or a top or a high ground aggression mid, you have to make sure you kill things as fast as possible and your focus fire is crisp and clean on them. Oh, actually there's also a third mid. Some roamers, what they do is, depending on what they want to bomb behind, they'll bomb behind here. What do they do next? They either choose to just camp the health packs and just stay behind, or wherever they go behind from, whichever place they choose to go behind from, they'll get the health pack, then they'll go main, and they really have the choice of either drawing eyes and calling how many eyes they draw so your team can walk forward, or they just choose to just commit on the medic. That's good, but that's why, like, when a team bombs behind, you have to just, if a team bombs a player behind, you just need to be ready to just walk the fuck across, while your medic, or at least one of your scouts, needs to just pay attention to the person bombing from behind. So that only works if your team, that going behind only works if your team can hold off the people just walking forward immediately on your team as you're bombing from behind. So those are the three ways to play mid. Either you double high bomb immediately and your team just collapses, which only works if the other team's soldiers don't counter bomb your combo as they walk forward. Usually the way to counter a double bomb mid is having your soldiers having one soldier commit to fragging the player, one of the soldiers that are bombing. Meanwhile, one of your other soldiers either just counter jumps onto them, counter jumps high ground. That actually, they should be counter jumping high ground, and they should be trying to deny the people walking cross point. So now you have mid. What are the holes that you should have? If you have add, really simple stuff. Demo plays back towards main, traps towards fence, and here, and try to kill the people. Because usually at this level in main, people will try to just 4-man on the medic. So there's the bomb shelter strat from On 9 that we used to use. This is basically medic and pocket play here. Flank scout and Roamer playing somewhere around here-ish. Demo plays towards main because him dying matters a lot. So it's really good to have your Roamer around here. I mean your Demo around here. And your pocket scout can really just play like... I mean your flank scout can usually play here. Roamer and pocket scout can usually play around here-ish. The whole point is the flank scout being here is to make sure that like you at least get a heads up if someone tries to go behind from here-ish into your bats. The Demo's position in main here allows them to just spam shit or just try to deny space without them fully committing their life. And being here with the flank scout allows them to like just, you know, deny stuff. I mean, I think Winger is actually pretty good on this map. Allows you to get up here for free. Yeah, you need a Winger to jump up to this fence, but you can also just play here as a flank scout. And the point of the bomb shelter strat is that it allows your med to safely not have to use, as long as your med's like playing around here-ish. Can you get up here without? Yeah. And your Roamer and your pocket can pretty much deny these two spaces. Now the counter to this is if they do this kind of strat, there's a concept in Koth called forcing while like half committing your heals, and that means like you commit your heals to baiting point, but your med's also in a position where the scouts just leave like all the way here. When you're going for the force and the team's doing this strat, the best way to counter it is to just bait the shit out of point and force them to use, thinking that your heals are close on the point, and they'll use, but your medic should always be here because they'll use and you'll be ready to back out, and you'll basically get the force off for free while getting points time at the same time. And that's the best way to counter that kind of strat. In the meanwhile, this is when you're doing this half commit with your heals, your team shouldn't be pressuring for the force. Like, they shouldn't be fully committing their lives to the force. They should be helping you get ground on point while spamming. Like, it's kind of a 4-man stack, but it's kind of not a 4-man stack because the difference between half committing your heals, baiting point, and slowly getting out the force compared to 4-man stacking is that you're forcing that you're getting objective time, getting the force, and also getting off really good spam and denying them space and forcing them to play the hand. While with a 4-man stack, your general goal is to just go in, die, while trying to get the medic. I think that slow pressuring to bait cap and bait the force is way better in every scenario, and if you can do that every time, then do it every time. Because that works out way better than you just trying to like go for a 4-man stack. And if you try to, and also a really good way to play the half commit with your heals is to always bomb a soldier behind, because while they're caught in the confusion, you can probably get a soldier in behind. But I wouldn't recommend doing it every time and then them catching on. Like, do it on an off chance. So let's say you now have point, but this time it's even. What is the standard hold for an even or disset situation? Good question. First off, let's go over demo traps on this before we go into even or disset holds. This is a disset. Here's some traps. These are the two really good traps that some demos use. Like, these two traps alone deny a lot of shit. towards point. If you wanna put some forward traps on disad holds, this is a good one. This is a good one too. But this one I've seen a lot of teams use. This is also pretty good. It really just depends on what tendencies that the other team has when they're trying to push out on a disad situation for you guys. But like, pretty much. Actually, wait, it's not this one. It's this one. This is the trap that most teams use when pushing out through bats. And this is also a good one. This is also a common one that teams use. So what is the best way to handle a situation? Well, now that we've gone over traps, let's go over what is the best way to hold it on an even. You have a roamer. You can have 2 soldiers if you want, but you can have 1 soldier spawning towards Valley. Then you have one. Maybe you can have your pocket here too, so that they can spam too. That way, if you have 2 soldiers here holding on top left, like instead of having 2 soldiers sitting in the same spam, you have a roamer early spotting, spamming, jumping out, and then your pocket, you know, can be a secondary backup to spam while just safely spamming without taking damage. The whole point of the roamer being here is to spot out a potential Valley push or a main push. Meanwhile, flank scout can either hold here. Yeah, the flank scout should be holding here. Like, they're trying to at least hover around their roamer in case they get double teamed. Demo generally there's a boundary that you should never walk across when you're holding, and it's like never walk across this little line, this area separating the point cap time, and basically just try not to walk past this shed wall. That's the limit that you should be going forward on when you're at an even hold. I mean, when you're at a disad, but when it's even, you can afford to play a little closer. Because regardless of whether they push out through bats or Valley, like, you want to get off really good spam as they're pushing out. So, I would say the rule of thumb is on disad, try not to push past this wall. On even ad, depending on whether your team wants to take an exchange or not. If your team wants to take an exchange, never push past this. Because usually if you want to take an exchange, you just want to do it on a solo Uber. But if you're on disad and you want to get off the force as best as you can, the rule of thumb is not to walk past this crater, this little wall. On even situations though, the best way, so here's a concept that I learned back on Online when I was watching demos, is that the best way to take an exchange on clear cut is to play close here. If a team has a tendency to push alley or Valley, you should take an exchange on your scout here, and you should try to end the Uber. You should try to force them to flash a lot. Get the better Uber. Get the better Uber by forcing them to flash a lot. And if you notice they're all grouped up, the call is when you take this forward exchange, you want to all collapse around this area. You want to just collapse the fuck out of this area if they're all grouped up. The reason why you want to take a forward exchange here rather than taking an exchange on point is, first off, think about it. When you end the exchange, they're on the low ground. From their perspective, when they end the exchange here, like, they're on the low ground and look at the visibility, you want to force them to exchange around this area so that they have a lot less visibility, and that when you collapse for the post exchange, you can have a pocket here just shooting the shit out of them. You can have your roamer just bombing into them, and then obviously you can have your flank scout try to follow up on it, or you could just have them passive spot fast in case like their roamer, the enemy team roamer, tries to like counter jump you guys, you know, and tries to like deny stuff. So the concept of ending an Uber or taking a forward exchange Uber rather than having an on point Uber on clear cut is the fact that you can end the Uber positionally added advantage compared to taking the Uber and ending it on point where it's like it's pretty much even grounds for both teams. And that's what makes Clear Cut that's why Clear Cut is one of those really good maps where you can afford to take forward exchanges, because the map is so advantageous towards whoever has more ground compared to product that you can lock out, you can wipe a lot of teams using like really good strats. So what's the best way to push? So if you're on this ad, what is the best way to play on this ad? Well, if you can get, the best way to play this ad is when they're pushing, try to get a roamer in behind as much as possible if you cannot get the force. What I would do as a roamer is that if they're pushing from this ad, spot Valley, where regardless of whether they call bats, try to get some spam out, drop down, make sure you're at 200, reload, and then jump behind. And then have your team fall back, and then once you're in position behind, like, slowly pressure the fuck out of the force. Or maybe, even if possible, just pressure the force out, kite out, and then re-sandwich. The whole point of going behind is to force them to, like, is to get ready for a sandwich, and to put yourself at less of a disadvantage, especially if they have ad, when they're when they're trying to get space on Clear Cut. When you're trying to get behind, your team shouldn't try to completely give up space. They should still be trying to work the force without getting caught out, you know? And that's the goal of... That's the goal of getting in behind during a force. You want to minimize the disadvantage that you're at, while also causing their team to go back into disarray, because like they have to worry about the player behind, and they also have to worry about Ubering forward and taking point. And that's why usually some teams like say like, okay, can you bomb behind as they push in? Yeah, sure, I can get behind. So now let's go over the last part of Clear Cut, which is like pushing in. What are the best Ubers to take in? What are the best ways to position yourself for post exchange? Well, first off, when teams push out of Clear Cut, they either go through Valley or bats, lower bats. The best way to push out is knowing you're pushing out, there's going to be usually a player here. So what is the best way to isolate these players? First off, you want to isolate these players and get as much ground and force them off high ground before you either have to 1, exchange, or 1, use and try to kill players on point. Or 2, use and try to kill players on point. So, go Valley. As you push from Valley, let's say, for example, try to coordinate with your pockets so that they jump on this player. And in the meanwhile, your roamer... Oops, leave the jump. Let me get attack. In the meanwhile, your roamer... Ah! Leave the jump. Yeah. Tries to land 2 on the same area at the same time. But make sure you try and... one of you tries to, like, land not on this, because you don't want to risk, like... Maybe a demo might have this trapped for some reason. And you both die to the same stickies. So try to avoid that. But try to coordinate so that your demo spamming this, your pocket, and your roamer are both spamming and fighting the same area at the same time. That's a good way to force players off of high ground and focus fire them when you're pushing out of Clear Cut. What are the best Ubers to take? As a scout, the best ones to take is right around this corner where you bomb your demo and your scout and you just walk across point and you try to kill things as much as possible. The only bad thing about this is that you're starting at a disadvantage, and you'd much prefer to use around here-ish. So try to at least use around here if you can. Otherwise, this is a safe way to Uber. The other way to do it, the other good way to take a scout exchange is walk out through bats. And when you're walking out the go or bats, make sure you have a soldier or a demo shooting a stick here. Hit the rumor hides here. Walk up this area, and try to use around this corner. Force the exchange out and try to shoot players, like as the pocket scout, you should be trying to shoot whatever's behind in the exchange and forcing out as much flashes as possible, because they'll probably try to exchange on their demo or their scout, so try to shoot the combo player that's not flashed on their side. Those are the 2 best ways to to get an exchange. What is the best way to bait point on Pocket Scout? Bait here, because it's way better to bait here than baiting here, where you're susceptible to these traps. Whereas with this one, you're kind of in the range of it, but at least you can clear it at the very minimum, or a soldier can shoot off the sticks. And when you're pushing in, like I said, on clear cut especially, like this is one of the maps where like bombing a soldier behind is really crucial, is really good to have. But it really depends on how your team can play off of a 5v6 while you're working off some chaos in the flank. But getting in behind when they're pushing is like really good to do, because it forces them to send players back to fight you. And also, like, it's easier to work off of a force if you cannot do the traditional like spam for force. That's what I would say in regards to clear cut. Running a heavy engineer on this map can always be countered if you have really good focus fire. Just remember that. Just because they have a heavy doesn't mean that they'll be good. As long as your team is able to just walk across and just focus fire the shit out of the heavy. But first off, if you want to deny the heavy, you have to focus the players up with high ground first and force them to heal up. And in the meanwhile, while they're hurt and trying to heal up, then you focus the heavy. You know? It's all about focus firing if you want to counter a heavy or an NG on clear cut. And therefore, I've concluded clear cut. Have fun.